Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. What is going on, everyone?
How's it going?
Everything's going well. Happy Kirby Day. Well, that was yesterday, but happy Kirby Day to everybody.
Yeah.
Happy day after Kirby Day?
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't
and the day after Kirby.
I haven't picked up Kirby yet. I will eventually. It's going to be later, much later probably before I pick it up.
It's a great game, but we'll talk about that later. It's good.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it is. It's just I'm not in the mood for an open world Kirby game right now. I mean, I may be eventually, but I don't know. It seems whatever. We'll talk about that later. But I've been in a weird place for games here lately anyway, so it's whatever. Yeah. Put Elden Ring on the back burner. I was like, I can't do it. So not right now. So, but we'll talk about that too. But yeah, well, I guess we could just go ahead and get into what we've been playing, since that's kind of what we're talking about. Like I said, I was playing Elden Ring, kind of put it on the back burner when I get home from work all day and kind of relax. It's like I just wanted something kind of, what's the word? Just kind of chill and relaxing. So I started playing. I realized that I hadn't played Batman Enemy Within from Telltale for some reason. Had it downloaded, never booted it up or anything. I think I was going to play it on the Switch, and I never did. And it was in my library from Games with Gold. I picked it up on the Games with Gold at some point. So I booted it up, beat it, and then was like, you know what? I kind of want to play another game like that. So I started playing The Walking Dead again. Just because I hadn't played any, I hadn't played any of them in a long time. And
which one? Are you going back to the first season?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I think I've played the first season on PC, Switch, PS3, 360. I think I've played it 4 or 5 times.
That sounds about right for me. Also, it's a great game. It's phenomenal. Like, that story is so good.
Yeah,
so good.
It's good. So it's like, I'll play it again. And what I've
honestly,
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, honestly, like, if it wasn't for that game, because honestly, like, the first Walking Dead game is what really got me into the Telltale sort of games in general, and just that play style.
Right.
Also, I think they really just kind of changed the way we experience those sort of narrative-driven games. I think if we didn't have those sort of Telltale games from way back then, we wouldn't have a lot of the games that we have now. Who knows? Maybe Life is Strange wouldn't be a thing. Maybe like Twin Mirrors and God knows hundreds of other games, Last Stop, and stuff like that. They really kind of paved the way and opened the door to like increase the popularity of those types of games.
I tell you what kind of tripped it off for me was I've been following the Star Trek game coming out, and it's mostly people originally from the Telltale people. So it's a Telltale game, but it's not made by Telltale. So it has. Skybound, what's that?
I just can't remember. Sorry, I didn't know. I couldn't remember what their new studio is called. Is it Skybound?
No, it's not Skybound. Skybound got bought by somebody else. I forget.
Yeah, okay. Is that Robert Kirkman's studio, Skybound?
I think so.
Maybe that's why I got confused, because he created.
What's the name of that? Resurgence.
Or did they just get back to using that name, kind of like how THQ like went defunct and then came back as THQ Nordic? So like.
I don't know what the name of the company is. Let me roll down here. Oh, it just says Burner House LLC. I don't know if that's the name. Dramatic Labs. There we go.
Maybe Dramatic Labs. Okay.
But that anyway, they've been showing a lot of gameplay video on Twitter here lately, and I pulled it up the other day and was watching it, and it's literally Star Trek, like a Telltale game. So you're sitting there having the talk. Spock's on the screen telling you this and that and that and this, and you got all these different choices, and it's like, man, I'm really in the mood for one of those games. And I just found it very relaxing and cathartic at the end of a busy, long, tiring workday to sit down and just play a game like that and go, I don't have any pressure. I'm not getting angry. I'm kind of relaxed. It's it's like I'm kind of sleeping a little better. So
Those are definitely like because I was addicted to those types of games for a while, so I was playing anything and everything I could find that was that style for the same reason. Basically, I just wanted, after playing so many like hardcore, games, I was like, I just want to lay back.
Yeah.
Let me just experience a good story with like minimum input.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into those sort of narrative driven games as well as like visual novels and stuff too. So I was like, okay, I'm playing something, I still feel fulfilled, I'm going through a hopefully great story, and you're kind of getting your fix for a game while not having to overthink too much. You're not using too much brain capacity.
Right. Yeah. But I'm still
relaxed.
getting a story. I was still feeling like the Batman game. I'd started playing it just after we went and watched The Batman. So, it was very detective-y, and I like how they've, how they did the whole Joker narrative in the game. But it kind of made me sad at the end of the game because it was like you could tell we're going to have a third one, and it's going to be this and that, and we'll never know how that game was supposed to, but it was still good. I mean, I'm not saying, don't go play it. Just go in it knowing, oh man, I'm going to be disappointed because I want to see how this trilogy ends, and I'm never going to find out. Because the way it ended, the two or three choices you can make at the end, it's like, oh, those are really big choices. How is that going to play out in the next game? Oh, well, never know.
But also, like, I think they had, with the way they were setting it up to, like you were saying, I mean, that third game could have really been like just the apex of all these sort of Telltale games, really, of just them just really just going bigger and bolder than they ever have with any of their other games. Because
it really seemed that way. So, but alas, we will never know. But that's okay. Maybe down the road someday. I don't know.
That whole story was a mess. Like how they fell apart and stuff like that, and just mismanaged funds and just basically a bunch of corrupt people, suits and stuff up top, and it was just a whole mess.
Yeah, it really stunk. So it's really got me in the mood though for games like that. So much so that I went and bought the deluxe version of the Life is Strange True Colors that comes with the remastered of Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange, not 2.
Before
the Storm.
Before the Storm, that's it. Yeah, Before the Storm. I couldn't remember what it was. Comes with those two games remastered, and I never played the second one, but I played the first one, so I started playing those this week. It's like, I mean, the remastered's nice. It's nice to be able to play it in 4K. It's not like, the greatest remaster you've ever seen. It's just, but it does fix some of the weird bugs that was in the first one. But I think I've played the first one on the PlayStation 4. I don't know. I had to go look it up to see how long ago I played it. It's been a while, but yeah. So I started playing that. I just finished chapter 1 of it the other day because I've been laid up this week with my foot, so I've been playing a lot of games in the living room on the Series S because this is the first time I've been home. I've been home all week, and this is the first time I've been in the basement for more than 5 seconds because I can't walk up and down the stairs. So the Series X was downstairs, and I was like, oh, the Series S is just sitting over there in the briefcase that I set it in when I walked in the door. I'll just hook it up to the TV. So yeah, I've been playing it. I played a little bit of Grand Theft Auto. Yes, I was the sucker who bought the 9-year-old game again for $20 on the Series X. I wanted to see what it looked like, and I hadn't played it since I'm pretty sure I haven't played it since PlayStation 3 days. I may have played it on PS4, but I want to say it was PlayStation 3. I played the most of that game on. It's nice. The ray tracing looks good. The graphics look cool. I mean, it just runs better because it runs at 60 frames a second, so it's smoother and it looks better. It's, it's still Grand Theft Auto, but it's fun to play.
I think Grand Theft Auto 5 and Skyrim are trying to have competitions.
I think they
for
are
how many
too.
times they can release each other. Like, oh no, they just did one. We have to do a new one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm waiting to see what Skyrim does.
It's like those. That's like the Trinity. It's like Grand Theft Auto, Skyrim, and Resident Evil 4.
The Starfield is just a big hoax, and it's just going to be Skyrim again.
Yeah.
Surprise!
But I mean, it was $20. It was on, it's on sale for the first month or two, something like that. If you got a PlayStation 5, you get online for free. So it's like, I went ahead and just downloaded it on my account, even though I don't know if I'll ever play it on PlayStation 5 or not.
Whatever happened to, like, did they end up splitting them? Like, because I thought once you bought GTA 5, that came with the online, just like Red
It
Dead.
does. You can buy you can buy just the online for $10 or the full game for $20. That's on sale.
Oh, okay.
So normally I think it's 30 and 60 or 50 and 60 or something like that. I don't remember how it's broke up at a regular price. But you don't have to buy the campaign part of the single player of the game if you don't want to, if you just want to play the online. So but for free on PlayStation 5, it's like, well, heck, I'll just add it to my account. If a bunch of my friends on PlayStation 5 get in and say, hey, we want to come do these heists, okay, fine. I'm interested in the heist thing on there. I think that's a pretty cool idea to play that in GTA. But yeah, for $20, it's one of those games that I'll pick up and play every once in a while. I'm not going to Elden Ring it and play it for 100 hours and any of that.
Yeah.
Or just GTA it and play it for 100 hours.
Yeah, or GTA it and play it for 100 hours.
I beat it once on PS3, played a ton of online, and then for PS4, I played a lot of the online for PS4 because we did the heist and stuff with a group of friends.
Yeah.
But I tried to do the single player again. I think I got halfway through the campaign. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Just so much time.
Yeah, it is a lot, but
it's still. I thought it was pretty good, honestly. I mean, could be way worse. At least I was entertained by it.
Yeah. And it's been long enough. I've been long enough up from it that it's like playing it again. I vaguely remember the things I'm doing in it, but it's like, oh yeah, I remember that now. That was pretty funny. Or yeah, I remember how this guy was like.
Cool. There's this trick to get all this money. Oh wait, patch that out.
Yeah.
No, I have to the hard way.
And they added. I've been playing this week. I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves since I've just been sitting on the couch. They added the new season started, so they had the new story adventure Thursday, I think. So I've done that, and the Sea Forts have been out, so I've been running the Sea Forts like crazy. I'm this close to Pirate Legend. I'm 49 in Gold, Hoarder 47 in the other two, the Merchant and the Oracles or whatever they're called. So I'm that close to getting Pirate Legend, and I can go, yes, now I can start running Athena stuff instead of all the other stuff. 'Cause it's but it's fun. I ended up being on somebody's stream the other day and didn't even know it. We were
like, hey, I'm in my boat.
Yeah, well, I was playing in I was doing one of the forts, and this, I suppose it was a girl. I don't know. She didn't have a mic on. She was like, "Oh, you want to be alliance so we don't kill each other?" Sure. And then we played for like 2 hours, and we ran two boats. I ran mine, and she ran hers, and we just followed each other. And then at the end of it, she was like, "Oh, by the way, you've been on my stream for the past 2 hours, and everybody in the chat calls you Grandpa." Great. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. That's awesome. They called me Grandpa. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. I just went, way to make me feel old. Oh, we don't mean it like that. I know you don't, but it was just funny.
It's still funny.
You
it's a little
called
bit funny.
me Grandpa. Thanks. And that's when I logged off for the night and went to bed depressed. It's like...
And that's when I uninstalled Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
And decided, never again.
Never again.
Sea of Grandpas for me.
Jeez. It's like, wow.
Sea of Grandpas walking on our boat.
Grandpa, that was funny. And I don't even know how old she was. It was like I went back and I pulled up the stream and went, man, I'm glad I didn't say anything stupid or offensive or anything like that. It was like, I had no idea. But yeah, so, and the other game I played, finally Tunic came out, and it came out on Game Pass, which I was very surprised about that. I played that game, what did I say in the chat, 2 years ago at GDEX, I think it was. Or
I think you said something like that, yeah. I played a demo for it last summer, actually.
Yeah, when they did the demos.
Yeah, they had Ludonaricon, which was more of a private press-only thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe like a month or so later, they did have like a summer demo festival on the Xbox where you could download
that came out
all
then. They had
At the time, that game was broken, so I'm glad they fixed it because that game is fantastic.
See, I don't remember it being broken, but maybe I
For
just
me, it
didn't.
wasn't.
Maybe I just didn't play it that much when the demo was out. I know the version I played at GDEX was not broken at all, and it was pretty much that demo. But I don't remember. I don't remember what we were playing it on. If we were playing it on PC or if we were playing it on PlayStation or not PlayStation or Xboxes. I don't remember. It's been that long ago.
Probably PC. I feel like usually builds like that, demo builds at conventions are always like through PC unless they're trying to like showcase something on a console.
Right, yeah. And I don't remember, like I said, it'd been so long since I played it, but yeah, because like, the developer spoke at GDEX and we talked with her and the head of the developers and and all that, and it was really cool. I've got a pin, a button around here somewhere because they were passing out buttons of all their games, Night in the Woods and Overland or whatever it's called, and but yeah, I mean, I really like that game, and I'm going to go back to it. I haven't played it in a couple weeks. I played it the first 2 nights straight that it came out. But yeah, it's really fun. I love the instruction book you get with all the pages that you find, with all the little hints to tell you who, what, and where, and and even they do, and it's it's written in that weird language, but you figure out. You can figure out pretty easily what it is. I want to see a physical version of it. I want to see a physical version on Xbox. I want to see it with that instruction book printed in my hand. Just because it's really nice and the art's...
It's so nice, and it's like super. However they scanned it, assuming they didn't just design it all on the computer, but however they scanned it is like super high res too. Because like I don't know if you tried zooming in, but like my God, you can like really get in there.
And I don't know if they did it in engine. I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but it's like
it looks like actual paper.
Should be pretty easy to do. You should just be able to print them out. It shouldn't be hard. It's limited run. You've got it. And Limited Run's supposed to be doing Xbox games at some point. They announced that like last year. They have not released one yet. So
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's all about. So hopefully, if anybody releases it, I hope Limited Run does one because that'll be the easiest to get. I mean, Strictly Limited's cool, but I don't know nobody's really doing limited prints of Xbox games because they used to have the print count too high. But I'm a couple hours in it. I got my sword. I got my shield. I got my, what was it? Was it a key? I got a key to unlock the house, but that's where the shield was at. I think that maybe is where I stopped. I haven't went any farther yet. But I remember your tweet you put up where you went into the windmill and you saw the scary guy and you turned around and ran. I'm like, no, don't turn around and run. Yeah. That's the dude that sells you things. Don't be scared of him.
I didn't realize that at first because like when I walked in, it was like a pitch black room.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I see this gigantic like skeleton fox, and I was like, whoa, I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah.
So I ran out, and then once I like took a breather and I went and I rested really quick to make sure everything was maxed out, got replenished and everything. I was like, all right, let's do this. And I walk up to this guy. I start slashing away, but then nothing happens. And instead, he's just like, hey, first of all, stop. Can I offer you some...
Yeah. You want to buy some bombs? You want to buy some bombs and some health potions? You want to buy some of those for me? I mean, I've got those for sale. It's like, you're like,
a long day. Like...
I want to say that he's big and he looks like you scream out and he sounds like what's his name from Thor Ragnarok? Hey, you want to get on that ship? That's the voice that I picture him having. Hey, you want to buy these bombs? It's like, but I'm sure you probably got farther than me. It looks like you have. You looks like you got way farther.
I've been doing a good amount of stuff. Yeah, I've figured out a lot of the puzzles. I just love the exploration factor of that game. Like sometimes I just love being dropped into a beautiful world and just having at it. And I think that's why I liked Breath of the Wild so much. And I mean, not that this game's anything like Breath of the Wild. It's not.
No.
If anything, you can compare it to like older Zelda games. Like we're talking like
like Link to the Past and
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But
but definitely not Breath of the Wild. But I'm just using it as an example where, because it's always the first one that comes to mind, where like I just loved the idea of just here's this beautiful world. The story will unfold as you go through. You know,
Yeah.
we're not going to explicitly state it to you. We're not going to hold your hand through this. Just play. You'll figure things out through trial and error, and then things will just start to click and just sort of blow your mind that way. And Tunic's been doing that in kind of both a slow burn fashion and in a way that's sort of like rapid, just depending on like where you go
Hmm.
and how you go about traversing a certain area. But yeah, it's like every time I play, I'm just figuring out something new or finding a new place. I mean, that game just has an insane amount of depth that I just was not expecting. Like, I'll be honest with you, I thought because you get the map for the overworld pretty quick, and I thought
Hmm.
that was just gonna be it. Because I mean, you know, it's an indie game, you don't expect too much, you
Right.
know. So and it's $30, and which by the way is worth every single penny.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It's worth every dime.
yeah. So uh but yeah, so I just thought that was it, you know, and I thought, you know, okay, there's a forest here, there's a forest there, you go up there, you probably beat the game. I was thinking maybe at most this game will be 4 hours, you
Yeah.
know, 4 or 5 hours. Nope. Nope, here I am days later, you know, still playing the game, and like that game has an incredible amount of depth because the overworld is just kind of showing you, hey, this is how it is. But as you unlock more pages, there's maps for other places and
Hmm.
more things to do, more abilities to unlock, and just so much that unfolds as you explore places and so many hidden spots too. Like if you, there's so many like hidden doors and just like areas. So I check every corner
Yeah.
now, and I've been surprised, like, you know, things you wouldn't normally see, like here's a pack of trees, just walk past the trees, all of a sudden there's a new area you're walking into, and it's like, what? You know, but
Yeah.
it rewards the exploration, it rewards the curiosity, and I love games like
And
that.
once you
And
get that sword, it that stick is terrible, and you get really
it's so
frustrated
bad.
with the stick.
Yeah,
But once you that, I mean, and that's the first thing you got to do is find that stupid sword
yeah,
at the
find the sword
starting
as
area.
fast as
Take a
possible.
right and go get that
Yeah,
sword because you
yeah,
know it's you need it because once you get that sword, it. I don't want to say it gets easier, but it gets a little less frustrating with
yeah,
the sword
yeah,
because you can actually
absolutely.
kill some things pretty quick
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, that stick is miserable. But yeah, once you get that sword, it definitely opens up and you're able to breathe a little bit easier. And not to mention, as you're kind of, you know, looking around, you'll kind of find these well, you don't know what they are at first, just random objects. But after a while, you start to realize, oh, I can actually use this to power myself up. And each item kind of has their own sort of usage, which, if you can find the page for it, will actually like, you know, detail like
Hmm.
what. So one's for increasing your health, one is for increasing your magic, one is for increasing your attack power, your defense, so on and so forth. There's like 4 or 5 different things you can upgrade. Nothing too crazy, but you know what you would expect. So attack, defense, magic, you know, speed,
Yeah.
things like that. So, um, but yeah, it's just that constant finding of something new and this new thing to explore. Like I just got into a place. Last time I played was maybe about 2 days ago, and I just got into this area that, you know, I went. I'm trying to explain this area. It's like there's a place kind of towards the mountains. It's not the actual mountain, uh, but in there, there's like a lot of construction, and I've been there a couple times and I have found and uncovered so many things, you know, abilities, little cards that you get, which those cards are the ones that are most confusing to me because you get a lot of these cards that you can equip to yourself, but you
Hmm.
don't know what they do. They just have random like hieroglyphics on it. Now, some of them are obvious, right? Like some of them is like a heart with like maybe a couple arrows going up. So that's going to give you just a little bit more health. You know, one's going to, if you equip one card, they're like passive abilities
Right.
basically. You can switch them out at any point. One's going to give you more damage at the cost of health, or can make enemies catch fire, so on and so forth. There's just a lot, and but yeah, you find those all over the place, even though you're not really sure what does what. So you kind of have to experiment a little bit until you find the proper pages for it in the manual. And but you know, as I'm going in this place, I just went down this elevator. I found an elevator all of a sudden that took me down into a place that's even deeper than I thought this place already was. So now I'm in this whole new area that I got to explore. It's insane. It's like this game keeps evolving
Yeah.
and keeps showing you new things. And, you know, because the objective at first is pretty straightforward, where it tells you, okay, you want your sword, and then okay, you want your shield.
Mhm.
And I was under the impression of like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go to the right, go to the eastern forest, and then over here just kind of handle that little boss fight there. And once I take care of that, and then oh yeah, you have to like ring these sorts of like bells also,
Yeah,
and
to open up
then,
different the one cavern mountain thing,
yeah,
or whatever
exactly.
that is. I
Yeah.
don't even know what
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
there's like a big like sealed gate type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you need to unlock all the bells or ring all the bells to do that. And I was like, okay. And then I think there's 3 bells total. So I was like, all right, the eastern one, and then let's go to the western one. But then all of a sudden, I couldn't get to the west like at
Mhm.
all. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? All right, well, let me just explore because I couldn't really go north either. So I was like, well, let me just explore. Um, but yeah, you just you're able to read the game as you play, and it's weird because it's like, there's the game, you know, presents everything to you in this made up language, but it's an interesting way to kind of convey it because it's almost like learning a new language, and I kind of
Mhm.
love it, because I mean, I love languages in general, but just that idea of playing the game and just, as you spend time with it, oh, I get that now. Oh, I get that now. But it's not just an understanding of like, oh, that's a neat mechanic. Now I understand what that is. It's so much deeper than that. It's not just about, oh, that's what that button does. Oh, that's what that move does. It's not that typical sort of, figuring out what these mechanics are. It's more of like learning how the world works, learning how to literally read, these pages, and just learning the sorts of ins and outs and all these nooks and crannies of uh, of the world. And it's
Mhm.
it's insane. I mean, you learn as you go, and it's just such a great experience, man.
Yeah.
It's Tunic is fantastic. I can't
Yeah.
recommend it enough. It's so good.
It's one of my favorite games of the year so far. I mean, it really is. Of course, 2 years ago I was ready to plot however much money I would have bought it right that day if they would have if I could have bought a copy of it. I would have bought it. Oh yeah, I would. Yep, take my money. I'm ready right now. I mean, it was worth it.
What I want to know is what's the next indie game that's riffing on Zelda that stars an animal playable character? Because we had kind of Death's Door, now we have this one that's like
See,
got
Death's
a
Door
little
was
raven,
great.
a little fox, and then now like what's the next one gonna be?
A lion.
It's weird, like
Yeah.
almost trend. So we need a third one to make it a trend.
Yeah, it's got to be a third one. So
Well, I think with animals, there's so many different art styles that you can do, so it makes it flexible versus like let's
Oh,
just
for
create
sure.
a human
Yeah.
character, and because art styles can either like interest people or just completely turn people away, But with animals, they're very flexible, so you can kind of design it and have your own style while still being cool and still appealing to majority of people. And Death's Door was great at that, and same thing with Tunic now. So,
well, and that game looks all cutie and it's a little fox. It'll be a cool little adventure. No, it's
Oh, you're dead.
yeah. Oh, I got
It can be
killed. I
what
mean,
you
it's
yeah.
it's a Dark Souls light set in a cutesy world. I mean, I won't say it's full Dark Souls, but
No,
but
no.
I mean, it pulls a little bit from those,
There's definitely
from those
influence,
games. Yeah.
for sure. Because there's definitely influence. Because like in the beginning, I was hacking and slashing a lot, and now I'm doing what you would do in Dark Souls, where it's like it's almost like fencing, right? Where it's just like,
Yeah.
let me read their moves. Okay, all right, can I go in
Block,
for the swipe now?
roll. Okay, now I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like I just
Yeah.
don't go in and
you have to dance. You have to dance with them. You got to do a
Yeah.
little bit of that samba.
uh
That's
yeah.
that Souls samba.
Yeah,
That's-
because once I got that sword though, I was just going through and whacking everything. It was just like,
Yeah, oh,
look at
yeah,
this,
yeah.
I can cut that. Yeah, this is the way this game's
Yeah.
supposed. But what was
Yeah,
funny was I did that and I had to stop and go. This is exactly what I did in Link Before Time on the Super NES. The first time I played it, it was like, I got the sword. Yes, I could just.
I started getting like throwbacks to Link Between Worlds on 3DS as well.
Yeah.
I started getting a big sort of feeling of that, which I loved that game. So that game was amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it was really
incredible.
cool. But yeah, so that's all I've been playing. So Dennis, if you just want to,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So
Go on, so-
we'll go from there. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, long story short, man, like Tunic is fantastic. It's worth every penny, but if you have Game Pass, do yourself a favor and please download it.
yeah,
I know it won't be for everybody because not everyone's into like dungeon crawlers and like Zelda type games like that, but at the very least, give it a try. If you have Game Pass, what do you have to lose? You're already paying
Yeah.
for the service. You don't have to pay for the game. Just give it a try at least.
Yeah.
Play through the cloud if you don't want to download it. Just play it. You'd be jumping in within seconds. So, um, but yeah. In addition to that, let me actually grab my list here. Yeah, in addition to that, well, on the topic of Zelda, I've actually been playing a lot of Ocean's Heart, which actually we have a review up for. If it's not up now, it'll go up soon.
Yeah, I think that if that's the one you were asking me about, it'll run tomorrow because I forgot again.
Okay. No worries.
My bad.
Yeah, so Ocean's Heart is if you want to talk about a big time throwback, that game is very reminiscent of the older Zelda titles. It does have that sort of retro pixel art aesthetic to it as well, and I've been having such a great time with that. It's you play as this person named Tilia, and she kind of starts out. She's training with her father a little bit to be part of what they call the volunteer. She wants to be a volunteer Navy sort of guard, basically. And they're kind of in this remote village. And one day he sends her out to go grab some resources, basically, in a storage cave that they have up towards the top of the village. So you go and you grab everything. But as you're coming back, the whole place is on fire. You're like, oh my God, what happened? So it turns out you got invaded by pirates and they kidnapped your father, basically. Not only did they kidnap your father, but you also try looking for one of your friends, and she's not around either. She's disappeared. So you try to put two and two together, and you assume, you figure things out as you go, but you assume that they just kind of kidnapped her as well. And then after some months pass by, you finally feel like you're ready to go, and then you leave and you're on this adventure where you just kind of go around this world, and you visit various towns and ports and meet a lot of people, and then everything's set up like a lot of the older Zelda games are as well. So you have those sorts of screens, not so intensely as the older Zelda games. It was just one screen, and then you'd move to the left, and the screen would sort of pan,
Right.
and then you'd be on that panel, and then it in a sort of it was transitioned in a sort of panel format. But you do have these very small little hubs, basically, and you're just kind of going from area to area as the screen sort of fades and you transition into the next. But yeah, I mean, the controls are very simple and straightforward. It's very reminiscent of those older Super Nintendo type games. So it's not asking much of you. Now, the biggest problem I have with this game, which isn't really a problem that much, honestly, because the sword is great, and honestly, that's all you need at the end of the day. But they give you all these different abilities and items that you really just don't need. I think they're mainly there for flavoring, but they don't actually do much different in terms of damage and versatility in the world. So I just kind of stick to my sword, because once you're hours and hours and hours in, you're constantly having to go to the blacksmith to essentially upgrade your armor and your weapons, but your upgrades are usually limited to the sword and the bow. So everything else has a base value already. But as you keep upgrading, I mean, you're doing an insane amount of damage with this sword. Why even bother with anything else? So and with the range that this thing has, you can just keep spamming the attack button like crazy. There's very little cooldown, if any. So you just spam it, and you can just hack and slash your way through the game, really. So again, it's both a pro and a con. It just kind of depends on how much of a challenge you're looking for. But me personally, it's fine. I mean, it's I'm not complaining too much about it, but a little bit of variety would have been nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's I'm used to games like these where it's just all you get is a sword, and you got to make do with what you got. So so it's fine, but the pixel art is fantastic, and there's actually a surprising amount of humor in it as well. The game is funny in a lot of ways, considering the topics and stuff that they talk about, but overall it's a really really good time. I got it sent to me. So thank you tremendously to those guys, and yeah, once the review goes up, you can read about it more in depth. And but yeah, I mean, I recommend it if you love Zelda likes and stuff like that. without a doubt worth checking out, especially just for the pixel art alone. I mean, it's
I
great.
promise I'll put it up tomorrow. I promise.
Okay. No worries.
It's been a long week, and I'm
I believe it.
between pain pills 3 times a day and the steroids, and just
pain
my
pills.
brain has just not quite worked
It's
right.
good.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, no, it's if it runs and looks great on the Switch as well, especially if you have an OLED model. It really, really shines through that screen, and yeah, the pixel, like the chiptune music is great, and just everything about that game is just really well put together, all things considered. It can be a little janky at times, but honestly, you know, great game, and if you want something that's more of a budget-friendly Zelda type game, look no further than Ocean's Heart. It's great. So,
Oh, cool.
But yeah, in addition to that, since we're kind of in an RPG sort of description here, been playing a lot of Rune Factory 5 as well, and that's been fun. Rune Factory has been around now for I don't even know how long. I mean, Rune Factory, I think the first
Long
one probably
time.
came out. Yeah, I mean,
Spin-off of Harvest Moon.
early 2000s. Yeah, it's a spin-off. It was originally a spin-off of Harvest Moon, except that they wanted to make something a little more action-oriented. So, kind of like what happened with Story of Seasons, minus the RPG part. Story of Seasons was a spin-off of Harvest Moon, where it really became the new Harvest Moon because the team that made Harvest Moon left, and they couldn't take the name with them because they didn't have the property rights. So then they created Story of Seasons, and that's the place to be now. But anyways, this isn't about Story of Seasons; it's about Rune Factory, and it's Rune Factory's been around a while, and if you're not familiar with Rune Factory, it's basically a 50-50 split down the middle of like a farming sim and a RPG. So you're going to be doing your dungeon crawling, you're going to be fighting monsters, you're going to be leveling up, you're going to be smithing and crafting weapons and just doing all sorts of different things that you would do in a typical sort of like dungeon crawling RPG. The only difference being really is that you have a lot of these vibrant colors. There's not a lot of browns, not a lot of bleakness. It's this usually these vibrant, beautiful worlds that you're in. And yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of farming as well. So that's going to be the bulk of your time. Really is farming, and then you go and kill some monsters because you got to level up, and there's materials that you can only get from monsters, so on and so forth. And a lot of games have taken this sort of approach as of late, which I like because I like that balance. I can't. I farming sims have grown a lot on me over the last couple of years, but I still want that sort of flexibility of like, let me just leave. I don't want to be on this farm all the time. Like, please God, just let me go somewhere and explore the world.
Won't you let me live?
It's like you lost the key to the front gate, so you're just kind of stuck. Like, let me. But yeah, no, Rune Factory is like great in that regard, and there's been other games too. I like most specifically, I remember playing ones on the 3DS. One's called like Adventure Bar Story, and games of that caliber. I think there's one on the Switch also made by the same people called like Merchant Tavern Story, something like that. And that's kind of the same thing where like you're either running a bar, or you're running in this case a tavern. But you get a lot of your ingredients through dungeon crawling. So you just go out there and then you go into the world and get some ingredients. You come back and then you use that to craft meals and sell those meals to people, and then you're good to go. But Rune Factory has a whole lot of depth to it, and each one has kind of done things in their own way in terms of like mechanics and approach and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it is like half farming sim, half RPG, and this one's been really, really good. It's the first one in a long time that's been like fully 3D and like over the shoulder. Because the one we got recently, I think either last year or the year before, was Rune Factory 4 Special, which was a port of the 3DS version, which came out way back in 2013. So, and that honestly did not look much different from the 3DS version. So I'm not sure what they did or how they can even call that a remaster. But either way, the game was good. But that was just as straight of a port as a port can get.
Right.
But I mean, don't fix what's not broken, I guess. But but the last time I remember seeing a full-on 3D Rune Factory was probably, I'm trying to remember, they had one on the Wii. I'm trying to remember the name for that one.
Yeah,
but
they have one.
But that one I remember playing, and I enjoyed that one quite a bit actually. And there might have been one on PS3, but I can't remember if that one was fully 3D or not. But I know the one on the Wii was, and that one was a lot of fun. That one was super cool. So it's been a long time coming, and yeah, it just gives a whole new perspective to things, and I'm really just having a great time with it. And again, if you love yourself some RPGs, if you love yourself some farming sims, do yourself a favor to Rune Factory 5 because it's like a nice balance. There's definitely some quality of life things they can do to it, and just some optimization patches for sure. But overall, because I know the game's been in development for a long time, and this is the first new one since 2013, so almost 10 years. From Rune Factory. Why do I keep saying that? Rune Factory 4. But now finally we have Rune Factory 5 after it was announced maybe like 3.5, 4 years ago, maybe. So it's been a while. It's been a while, but it's out and it's good. It's really good. And earlier we were talking about just relaxing games. That's definitely a game that's like to me relaxing because the time doesn't go by fast either. Because like it doesn't have the set time where it goes by whatever your system time is. Like there is, every hour or so, every hour in game is maybe like 10 minutes in real life, something like that. So but it's distributed well. I never feel like I'm rushing. I can feel like I can get a lot of stuff done by the time it hits noon. Like if you wake up at either 6 or 8 a.m., you can get a lot of stuff done by the time it's noon, which is really, really good because there's a lot to do in that game. So it kind of gives you the flexibility of really making the most of each day and not having to feel like you're forcing yourself to go through the seasons and stuff like that. And it feels like you're really part of this sort of evolving world and evolving narrative, and you can spend the time you want trying to do requests for people without feeling like you're in a hurry and stuff like that. So I really appreciate how they kind of do the time distribution in this game, because there's a lot of farming sims where like 5 minutes after you wake up, all of a sudden it's time for dinner. Stop that. Stop that. I hate that with a passion. Like I literally just woke up 5 minutes ago. Like, please stop. So I cannot stand it because then I start feeling stressed. You shouldn't feel stressed in the farming sim. That doesn't make sense to me. So the only thing you should be stressed about in a farming sim is if the weather's all messed up. Oh my God, how are my crops? Okay, stuff like that. Stuff that's a little more reasonable that you would actually be stressed about if you were a real life farmer. Otherwise, farmers aren't waking up at 8 a.m. looking at their watch 10 minutes later and be like, oh my God, where'd the time go? It's 3 p.m. I got to pick up my daughter from school.
Maybe they are.
So
maybe that's the way it works.
Maybe.
They work so hard, the time just flies and you just don't realize it. I mean, they enjoy their job so much that it's just,
Nothing like picking corn, John.
I'll tell you a funny story. My dad always said his first job he was born in 22. So it would have been 1933, was picking corn for the local corn farmer for $1 a week. I mean, holy crap, $1.
$1 a week.
But back in the the late 30s, that was a lot of money. You could.
I was gonna say, like at that time, I mean, like I feel like. like most things, you could buy like a whole loaf of bread for like 10 cents.
Yeah, it's like $1. It's like,
that's no problem at all.
But you worked at a river bottom picking corn all the time. It's like, yeah, and you could buy this many beers with that $1 that you got. I was like, all right, well, you knew how to spend your money.
With a penny, yeah.
God bless inflation, man. Like I always think about like, to
a point.
I think when people like they talk about time travel and then they're like, when do you want to go back to? Everyone's like, oh, either the medieval ages or like all these historical eras, stuff like that. Oh, I want to talk to Abe Lincoln. I just want to do all these things. Let me talk to Julius Caesar. Let me go back to the Greeks and the Romans and stuff like that. I want to see the Colosseum before how it is now. And but me, I was like, no, just take a $20 bill. and then go back to like 1920.
Yeah, and then hold it up in the air and go, look, I'm the richest man in town.
I'd be like, this is future money. We don't know what this is.
Yeah, they'd be like, $20 bill? What's a $20 bill?
Or they'll just look at the date on it.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
How did you print a $20 bill? Nobody has $20 bills. Who's Lincoln? It's
But just grab like $100 and just like think about all the things you could own back then,
oh yeah,
and then like don't even do anything with it. Just keep it, and then go back to present day and just see how much of an investment that was. Just take that $100 bill, use 20 of it to own an entire apartment building, and then have like 80 years of just rentals, and just see all that revenue pile up, and then next you come back, it's like you did a smarter thing than Rockefeller did with oil, like.
So you're just doing a slightly less gambling version of Back to the Future 2.
yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
No sports almanacs this time.
Sports? Oh wait, no. They still had sports in the 30s. It's fine.
But yeah, no, I mean, Rune Factory 5 has been a really, really, really good time though, and it's refreshing in a lot of ways too, because I feel like I've been playing a lot of farming sims lately. That there's a lot that just very clearly rip off of Stardew, just because of like how big of an
That's how
impact it's made.
successful it was, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Still is.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
he only
yeah,
just
I mean,
now
it's-
pretty much
yeah.
stopped adding to that game.
Yeah. But it's nice that I can, go back. I mean, Rune Factory's always kind of had its own signature anyway. So if you've played Rune Factory before, you already know what you're getting yourself into. But it's nice to finally play something that isn't that sort of traditional Stardew type of formula, for a change, and just, get that RPG fix while you're at it too. And the illustrations are just fantastic, but they've always been like that with Rune Factory. I mean, Xseed in general has always had, and Marvelous now, they've always had fantastic artists over there. So, the creative direction for both the 3D modeling and all the assets and just the art style and everything is really, really good. So, but yeah, I've been playing that. In addition to that, have also been playing a little bit, not too much, because Tunic got in the way and like took all my time. But started playing because finally it came over to Game Pass. Started playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So you guys were not kidding. They do not shut up.
No,
Those guys
they talk and
nonstop
talk
to each
and
other.
talk, and it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable how much they talk.
The amount of dialogue in that game, it's seriously impressive,
Yeah.
really, if anything. Like, it's really, really impressive. Because they don't stop, and everything feels very natural, too. Nothing feels forced. Like, 'cause
Right.
you'll walk a different direction, and they'd be like, all right, Quill, what's what are you doing over there? Like, let's, we got to go this way. Like,
Right.
everybody's, like, talking to you and, like, reacting to your actions and just your movements, anything, really, even if you're you're just standing still, you just start shooting at nothing. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, they start
Yeah.
making fun of you, like this guy over here. Like, it's just really, really funny. It's great, though.
Yeah, I love it.
But I haven't put too much time into it. Maybe just 3 to 4 hours. So I'm still early on. Again, Tunic came out and just kind of like sort of stole my heart basically because I
Yeah.
fell in love with Tunic. So, but the little bit that I have played of Guardians of the Galaxy, though, I have been enjoying it. It's not 100% what I thought it was going to be, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it definitely took some adjustment, I guess. The combat, I feel, could feel a little bit better. That's just me. It's not, this super fluid sort of experience, but otherwise everything outside of that, though, I'm really, really enjoying. Again, I love all the banter. I love the level design is fantastic. The cutscenes are really well done. Again, the dialogue is just too good, and yeah, I'm enjoying it, and it doesn't try to overwhelm you either. Like, that game gives you exactly what you need. It doesn't feel like it's too much. It doesn't feel like it's too little. That game is just a very solid package of what it's meant to be. It feels proper.
That game makes me wonder, what in the heck were they thinking with Avengers? I mean,
Give us the money. That's what they're thinking.
yeah, I mean, it's like they could have had something like this with Avengers. I mean, not necessarily, a carbon copy of that game, but after you play Avengers, and then I think people that played Avengers, then Guardians came out, and everybody was kind of I don't know. I remember how Avengers went, and I don't know if
Yeah,
I
that
want
built
to.
bad taste in a lot of people's
Yeah, I
mouths. So.
did, and I think I I don't a million copies is nothing to sneeze at, but at the same time, it was below performance of what Square Enix thought it should be. So,
As everything is to them.
apparently,
That's literally every game that they put out.
yeah. Yeah, every game to them is it's just ridiculous. But
Oh, we didn't sell 1 billion? Oh, it's way below.
yeah, but yeah, I'm glad it got on Game Pass just to get more eyeballs on the game and people to actually play it.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll in turn, when it goes away, people will go out and buy a copy of it. But who knows? I mean, But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but.
Oh no. I mean the game's really good, but yeah, I'm glad it finally came to Game Pass because I think, like you said, it just Avengers put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and
Yeah.
considering like it'd be one thing if this was published by someone else, but it's just like here's another Marvel game from Square Enix again. We saw how that happened last time, so I mean God knows how it's going to go this time. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Avengers was very much a, hey, we're going to use this license to make some money, and this is, hey, we really love Guardians of the Galaxy, so we're going to put as much love into it as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, been enjoying that one. I'll jump back into it eventually. Just once just Tunic, man. Tunic's too good. So just that's really where the bulk of my time on Xbox, anyways, has been kind of going to. So, but yeah, last but not least, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Been playing that. That came out yesterday. Again, since it just came out yesterday, I put a couple hours into it, like a lot of hours, but it's I think, but definitely by the time we have the next podcast, obviously I would have beaten it by then, and then I can talk about it more in depth. But from the couple of hours that I've played so far, it's great, man. It's hard not to have a smile on your face while you're playing the game, just because it feels great. It just makes you happy. It's a feel good game to play. The level design is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean it's Kirby. I mean he's cute too, so it's like
he eats stuff, spits it
yeah,
out. Eats stuff,
and like
man.
and all the new abilities, like the mouthful mode thing, which is, I mean, obviously funny, but like it's actually like a really neat mechanic, and it's really really cool. Just all the different things he can sort of turn into and utilize to, solve puzzles and get collectibles and things like that. And I love that each level has their own sort of objectives in it. That way, it kind of gives the levels replay value if you don't sort of run through it, or take care of them all the first time around. So I've been trying to like 100% each level. So far I've been doing pretty good with it, but some of them I have had to replay a couple times just to find certain like rare items and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, I've been wanting to 100% everything because I usually 100% every Kirby game. I've been doing that now for the last couple entries. So basically since Triple Deluxe on 3DS, so Triple Deluxe, Plant Robobot,
do your vacuum,
Epic Yarn on 3DS, and then what was that the Curse one on Wii U? I can't remember what that one was called.
I can't remember. I have it over
Rainbow
there,
Curse?
but
Rainbow Curse?
on Wii U or Wii?
Wii U. I think it was Rainbow Curse.
Yeah,
Rainbow Curse. Yeah.
Yeah.
The clay one.
Yeah, the clay one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean it's been such a great time. The game's colorful. The game's great. The game is just such a good time. I mean, the levels are they're just so good. And honestly, that's one of the things that's made Kirby so fun for me for so long, is I love just kind of going into whatever crazy world he goes into next, and seeing all the fantastic level designs and how they utilize it. But this one's very different. This one isn't your traditional sort of 2D side-scrolling Kirby.
You're playing it because you just want to transform into the car. Don't lie.
The car's a lot of fun, honestly.
I know.
It was
a demo. I was like, this is kind of neat. It'd be cool if it was, a big truck. I'd even get behind that. Just running over.
Well, there's a surprising amount of items that they actually didn't show in any of the marketing. Actually, like there's stuff that's just like I'm seeing for the first time. I'm like, oh my god,
helicopter.
Yeah, probably. Look, if Yoshi can do it, Kirby can do it.
I'll eat that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really really great. I'm having a phenomenal time with it so far. But
how long is it? Do you know?
Well, it's definitely the longest Kirby game in a while, because to put it into perspective, again, I'm trying to 100% everything, so I can't speak for the people just running through and just trying to beat the levels and just calling it a day. But for me personally,
they say 11 to 12.
Probably that would make more sense because I put a couple hours into it so far, but basically, my save file said I was at 11%. And I've
Okay.
put maybe,
Yeah.
but again, I'm trying to 100% everything. If you're not, if you're
Right.
just trying to beat the level and move on, if, if you spent 3 to 4 hours just like I did on it, um, but you're just beating the levels, not caring about the extra stuff,
Yeah, not getting
you
the grind.
know, instead of 11%, you'd probably be sitting at probably closer to like 30%, probably. So, assuming because you'd probably just be much farther than I would at that point. But yeah, I'm trying to 100% everything. I keep going back to the town because now that you have that Waddle Dee town, you have like your own sort of upgrades you can do. You can upgrade all your abilities. You can like create new houses and like which all kind of have their own sort of feature to them as well. There's like a gotcha mechanic too, where you can get like trophies that kind of are reminiscent of like the trophies from like Super Smash Brothers. You can collect all of those, which those you get from completing levels, but you also get those from they have like a little like toy machine in the town that you can you know put 10 of those star coins in and then just kind of turn around and then you get the little gotcha ball, open it up, and and then there's another trophy in there for you, but it's not always new though. Like you will get duplicates,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. A lot to do in that game compared to like other Kirby games, honestly. Certainly compared to Star Allies. So, but it's kind of reminiscent of how it was on like 3DS because both Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot had a lot to do after you beat the game. Not so much within the levels themselves, but they had like extra modes and stuff that you can do. Like Super Kirby Clash, I think, was actually a spin-off of a mode from there, and same thing with Kirby Fighters was a spin-off of one of the games, either Triple Deluxe and or Planet Robobot, respectively. So, um, but uh, but yeah, there's not really extra modes in this one, it seems like, but the game itself has a lot to do by comparison, though. So, um, but yeah, no, it's a fantastic time, and I can't recommend it enough. But yeah,
Cool.
but yeah, that's everything I've been playing.
Yeah. It's on my list to buy at some point, but yeah, I'm not in a big hurry for it. I've got so much other stuff I'm playing. So, but okay, Nathaniel, you got one game. We're all going to be shocked by the game that it is.
One.
Solitaire.
I'm-
No.
I'm happy to chime
Be
in,
playing
Jeff.
Microsoft's new Solitaire. That's what he's been playing. So he's been
That
addicted
Planet
by it.
Spinball from
Yeah.
Windows Millennium.
Solitaire game.
Been playing Ski Free on some old Windows whatever machine. No, I've been playing Elden Ring. I've just before podcast ending, I hit 90 hours in that game now,
Jeez.
and I'm not close to being done
I
because
believe
I'm playing it to take my sweet time and looking in every single corner and trying to do every little thing that I can find every little secret. Rather than like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, main zone, then go do that main zone. It's more
Right.
like, I'm not gonna do a main zone yet. There's like another little thing over there I could go look at. Oh, fine, I'll go here because I got to.
What's over here? Uh-oh, there go my roots.
I'll go.
Okay. But yeah, that game is really, really, it rewards exploration. So if you want to play it the way I am, then you get a lot out of it. But if you wanted to, play a little more direct, you probably could do that as well.
Yeah.
It's just, it's got kind of like its big main zones that feel similar to older, FromSoft games where it's a designed thing where you have like a main path you're going through that has little branches off in it, and little like nooks and crannies and secrets to find. But it's not like the open world part. So you have all those plopped down in different areas of the game that you get to. And then you have all the additional open world stuff that they added to this game with all the riding around and finding a cool little cave to go into, or finding this, NPC random out here that says, hey, can you bring me this thing that you may have? And it's like, oh yeah, dude, here you go. And then they, like, in classic FromSoft NPC questline fashion, disappeared. You have to find them again some other place and progress it. And you may or may not know the direction they are going. They did add a thing where you have NPCs are marked on your map now, but only if you've met them and if they haven't moved.
Right.
Except for they have like there's this certain NPCs. They're almost like, I guess you could call them sort of like fortune tellers. They read your fingers, not your palm. They're marked on your map already, so you can go and get some cryptic stuff that points you to things in the area of like what you could do next. It's kind of like a cryptic way to point you in the direction you should be going. So it's like, ooh, you can do this or this and go this way, and you'll fulfill your destiny, or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, most of the NPCs are just like, hey, you discovered someone somewhere, and then like they're either a merchant and so they're gonna stay there, or they're an actual got a quest line tied to them. So like, oh, okay, I'm moving on somewhere else. I'll see you later, maybe if you ever find me. And then you find them later in the game, like, oh, I remember you.
Hey, there you are.
I'm being very, very thorough with this game
Yeah.
because I absolutely love it.
Cool.
So I'm like level 89 or 90 or something at this point. And I've got my full loadout right now is a big sword, a morning star that's smaller so I can swing it faster, and then a twin blade so I can be Darth Maul when I feel like
I
it.
was gonna say I saw your tweet with the Darth Maul blade. That was pretty good.
Try that. I actually have that, yeah. But the morning star, for me, it's not I'll let it finish that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like I use the big sword the most because it's good for stunning things.
Yeah.
So if you hit things with it, they'll like get knocked back a bit, and so it swings slower, but you can do a lot of damage with it. And then if you run into something that's like a skeleton or like rock enemies that are susceptible to the blunt strike damage, then that's when you use the morning star because you do more damage with it.
Or flail.
Yep.
I think it's 3-headed one. It's pretty.
But yeah, man, there's so many secrets and stuff in that game that's just like, hey, here's this cool underground area you found. You found a map for this underground thing. Then you can't get to half of it somehow, so I'm assuming there's some other way to get to the bottom area that you're just like, oh my goodness, I'll come back and figure this out later because I spent like, half an hour running around trying to find a secret door or something, didn't find it.
I remember on the last podcast you were talking about how like you had like fallen, but you done some like weird little glitch thing and you found something like a boss maybe like hidden beneath.
It wasn't a boss. It was Stormville Castle is the main castle where the game kind of points you out as you walk out. Like, hey, the main boss of the story, go there to that castle on the cliffs. So it's called Stormville Castle. And when you get in there, it is super dense with all sorts of stuff of just like the pathways you can go. There's like big courtyard that you get through. There's like running around rooftops to find alternate paths. And then there's like stuff below it that you have to find like a secret path down to get to. Where I accidentally fell off of a roof, fell down like, hundreds of feet and landed on the ground, and on the death screen saw this thing that I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. And eventually I found my way down there, so I have actually been to that. But it wasn't like an enemy. It was like a dead, weird creature corpse thing that's kind of in a cave thing below, way below the castle. You're like, oh, what is this?
That's cool. So you did end up finding it then.
There's a lot in that game of like, hey, what is this? Or what is this or what is that? You see something, you're like, oh, I want to know what that is, and you get it. Or you're like, find some random like little nook or cranny or cave or secret path and find something on it. You're like, oh, wow, that was weird and unexpected. So it's just like taking FromSoft's design sensibilities and spreading it out into a giant world is fun.
Yeah.
Especially because they like have a lot more verticality than you get in most open world type games. So it's fun because you get lots of big vistas to look at. Or, hey, how do I get to the top of that giant cliff? Stuff like that. Running around on your mount doing double jumps. Falling down a cliff and finding the little village that's all jar people.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Normal.
Jar people are funny.
It's like Jarberg, and then there's an NPC in there that's like Jar Bairn or something is its name. It's just a kid that talks to you.
You'll have to send me a picture or something on Twitter. I'm curious where that is now.
It's easy to find. Yeah, I could show it to you if you wanted to.
Like little funny, like you're right. Little funny, weird things are like some of the NPCs you meet that like help you. You can that help you along the way. Or I won't spoil too much. There's a boss fight later. You can use some of them. And there's one that's like this giant jar pot guy that is just like just a big whiner and like just kind of generally just useless. And I'm like, all right, here we go. He's here, providing humor. It's kind of funny. Interesting that
How dare you besmirch the name of Alexander? who is totally in the gameplay reveal video.
It's funny. I got stuck again. I'm a coward. But it is definitely a time-consuming game.
Yeah, and I haven't been in the mood to play it, but I enjoyed it when I was playing it. You know, it's not that I didn't like it, and that's surprising because I usually don't care for Souls games. So
Yeah.
you know, it was for me to actually go, hey, I kind of like this. This isn't bad. You know,
I had tried Dark
Well,
Souls
things
2
on-
on PS3, and after the first boss, I couldn't get any further. It just wasn't. And
Dark Souls 2 is the worst.
And then, like, I might like Bloodborne because he's like, it's not. He's like, it's a little bit easier, and they have guns. But I never.
Well, not like you think. The gun is more just a parry system. It's
Yeah.
not really for damage. Like, you can do some crazy builds
Where's
to
my sweet
do damage with it, but it's not like you're not going to do that your first playthrough.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dark Souls 2 is the only one that's actively trying to destroy the player.
Got it. It was
All the
pretty
rest
good.
of them are difficult and stuff, but they're not like setting as many just stupid evil traps that Dark Souls 2 has. Like,
And-
it's so full of those.
A lot of my buddies have played the multiplayer co-op stuff before, and they said this one it's definitely better. It's more designed for like the multiplayer co-op sort of stuff. The previous ones they're telling me about, like, you'd be different colors when you come in, and you could only help with these certain things. I don't know. I'm liking the multiplayer stuff. Me and a couple of my buddies hop in and go tackle an area, tackle some bosses. It's mostly me asking for their help. I'm like, hey, you guys doing? Want to help me?
Hey, quick! Somebody come up here and do this, and I'll just follow.
Yeah, that's been that a couple times. I'll admit it. But
Well, that's what the summons are for too. So the little spirit
Yeah,
summons, if you don't have buddies to come in, you can
What-
summon them once you start picking
have
those
you
up.
been finding yourself sticking to certain summons? I got a top 3, but I want to hear what you use.
I have one that's awesome that I have fully upgraded as far as I possibly can so far. That is a was it Stormhawk Denna or something? It's a named
I've
one.
heard of that one. That was in a list.
It's you have to go find it in an off the beaten path sort of way, and then when I found it, I was like, "Ooh, this is really cool." You can take. It's sort of like you've a similar, like most of the spirits are enemy types that you've found before,
Yeah.
and now you can sort of summon them as spirits once
Yeah.
you find the like little
I-
items for it.
I'll have to go
And
off-
that one is
Sounds cool.
one of the annoying bird enemies that have blades on their feet and a
yeah.
thing on their face that like does fire explosion
like, grab
stuff.
onto
So
it. Yeah.
having that as a summon is much more fun than fighting them.
I had to go. 2 of them, they just kind of like came along in the story. I have the mimic, and there's like 2 magic casting sisters. They also have melee, and the two sisters are good because let's say you got a guy that's on horse or is really fast, right? They'll draw his attention, and pretty much, and then you can get in there. The mimic's cool. I'm sure you know what that is. It's pretty much.
I know that there is a mimic thing. I don't know what it is because I do not have it.
You'll get it. It's in the story. You'll get it. I won't.
Yeah, when I actually get further in the story.
If you want to go out of the way, you should try to get
Little
the
by little.
headless knight. It's a female summon, and it is capable of tanking bosses by itself. Pretty much, it will handle the fight, and you can just stand back and blast the boss.
I have several
Very
of
good.
those, like the headless knight thing you talk about, and several other ones that I cannot use because I don't have enough FP on my character because I haven't upgraded enough. I think now I'm about at the point where if I use like a couple things that boost it, I could get there, but I have plenty of other things that would be more useful than trying to waste it on that.
The jellyfish, but I could never get the jellyfish to like be useful. Yeah, I'm like,
It's okay early on.
guy or the
I used the jellyfish
yeah,
for a while.
I used the wolves a little bit, and there's like, there's the sorcerer I used too, but I didn't upgrade them much. I once I got the other 3, dumping. I think they're both. All of them are plus 10, so they definitely.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Nathaniel a few times about stuff and things just to give advice because I'm like, remember I was super frustrated. I'm like, I'm level 30 and I'm just awful. Help me. And you're like, no, stick with it. Try this.
Here's
You'll
your help.
figure it out.
Get up and dust it off and keep playing it, chump.
No, honestly, the biggest
Die.
thing about this game that makes it more accessible is not that the enemies are easier, it's that you can go away. So like if you're going to
Right.
some certain area and you keep butting your head against it, stop doing that. Go away, like put a marker on your map to come back later so you remember where it is, or
Yeah.
even write a note down so you remember, because there's so much stuff in this game that might be helpful to do. Write down just something on a piece of paper or in your phone. Go off, find some other cool stuff that's not as frustrating, or possibly you're just way too under leveled for because you wandered into a bad area, and come back later.
Yeah.
Because unlike other like FromSoft games, you can do that. There's so many like ways you could go. In fact, now that I've been in the game so much, if I started again, I could just run around this almost the entire map without ever doing any of the main story bosses, because there's ways around those zones that you can just like go explore almost anywhere. It's really cool. If there's a couple places that have sort of like a gate that you need to go in, but then, oh wait, there's a secret way that you can go around and get up to somewhere without taking the main lift that you need to go find the pieces for. You can go this other direction and
I know
still
what
get
you're talking
there.
about.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of just alternate paths and stuff in the game, and you can explore a ton of it without ever doing like the main dungeon type areas if you really, really wanted to.
If you want to get some of the crazy good weapons for your class too, they're often stuck in dungeons where it can be pretty impossible. I was after something and I went there at like level probably like 35 or getting crushed. Came back 20 levels later, destroyed everything, and got the which then I don't eat.
Oh man,
Crap.
I didn't have any good armor for the longest time until I started getting through, and then I found like some really good stuff. So I have some really fun armor now.
I was using beginning armor until I got to the academy part of the story, and I got like there's a set of armor in there that's decent for a confessor, and I used that until my buddies showed me this armor.
Oh, you probably have the Carrion Knight armor then, because I think that's there.
Oh,
I'm using like a mix and match because I usually don't do sets in these games, because I half do it for stats and half for how it looks. So I've got like a cool like armor set, but then I have like gold like grieve things on, and I've got like just like a cowl hood thing is what I'm currently wearing. But I've got a ton of fun stuff now that I can swap it out when I feel like it. Or if I really want to do for the lulz, I have a few silly outfits that I could wear.
Yeah, it took me a long time to kind of figure out like what I wanted to do.
Elden Ring has so many silly helmets that are great, like special helmets, like you have a weird bug on your head, or you have like a stone face on your head, or you have this or that.
Yeah.
Like
Cat, yeah.
I just got all of the little like labyrinth things you go into, half of them have these little stone gargoyle creatures. And I just got a drop today from one of them, and I've gone to so many of these things, killed so many of these, that I got their head, and that you can actually wear it. I was like, that's awesome. I don't know if it was just that specific one I was in. Maybe it only drops there. I have no idea. But I was like, I've killed so many of these things and never gotten that. That's awesome.
Probably a super low drop rate on that thing.
Yeah,
Could be. Yeah.
I was after a scythe, and like the second best scythe you can get for a confessor class. And I had to go farm an area. I had to use an item which boosts your ability to find stuff. And I did it like 2 or 3 times, just went to this one area, and then I finally got it. I was like, yeah, this is super cool. Yeah. First time I beat a boss, like one of the, like, I'll say like just an area boss to get an item for Confessor. I was super excited. I did this, yes.
Yeah.
Game's not impossible. I just got to learn the pattern with it. And then I go to the story boss and get slaughtered.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you
The funny thing though is like the very first story boss that you fight is one of the harder ones, at least in the first however chunk of the game. Then when you get to kind of like the second story boss, it's also difficult. The third one is more of a FromSoft puzzle boss for half of it, where it's not about being difficult. It's about like find the thing, like the weird puzzle gimmick that lets you do damage.
Yeah, and what we were talking about off the show, the reason I'm such a large level is because I've been farming runes a lot, so I can so I can be higher level because I'm doing better. Like, all right, well, I don't want to be like I'm not as good at this game as I should be, but I am enjoying the co-op stuff. I like to summon my buddies and we hang out and kill bosses. One of them's a samurai. He's really good. He knows what he's doing. The other guy is a astrologer, which is like the wizard class. He's like pretty spongy, but he can do a lot of damage. I'm a confessor with melee versus like faith-based spells. Kind of interesting. Do some magic damage, but get in there and wail on the enemy.
Yeah, I'm a dude with 40 strength and just enough intelligence and faith so that I can cast some buff spells that either like protect me from damage or make my sword glowy and it causes a special kind of damage like magic
Yeah,
or whatever.
you can add stuff to all your weapon, shield, and stuff like that. And it's fun. I run around with a couple scythes or I think I have a mace or a flail. One of backup weapon. I have a bow too, which I use usually.
I have the I think I talked about last time, the great sword that's basically a Game of Thrones reference where it's all made of swords, and I wish it wasn't a special weapon because you can't buff special weapons with like putting fire on it or anything.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see that thing on fire because it would look hilarious. Like just this giant, like huge anime-sized sword made of other swords on fire would be cool.
You're gonna have to send me a link to that because I don't know what sword you're talking about. And I kind of want to get it. And there's also this other.
Well,
sword.
think of Game of Thrones, like the actual like throne made of swords, but just a great sword size thing of that, where it's just a bunch of blades sticking every which way.
I don't have enough strength to use it, but it would be cool.
Yeah, it requires 40 strength.
Yeah,
it took me a while to get there.
Either most people with Confess are either like it's all magic based or dexterity and magic or strength magic, and I was leaning toward dexterity just because the weapons I was finding. Try this. Weapons that do bleed damage. Holding my own. Kind of wish my spells.
This is very much like previous FromSoft games, but even more so. You can play it with any kind of way you want and find, eventually it might take a while till you find them. You might not know where they are your first playthrough, but if you ever want to go back and be like, okay, I want to do this thing, there's so many cool weapons that take advantage of different, stats. Or you can even, some of them, you can shift them around the stats so that you can use them.
Yeah.
Like pretty much the only ones you can are like the special weapons that you find, but a lot of like, quote, regular weapons still have some special stuff about them. There's very few that are classified as kind of like special weapons, but there's some really, really fun, weapons in the game. I have such a huge collection. I had to like throw them all into my chest so I don't have to scroll forever in my inventory.
Yeah. My buddy's like, I stole everything I was going to use. I'm like, what, dude? I kept all the weird, like, there's these weapon you can get that's like a set of claws. It's only for like faith-based guys. I'm like, what are these? This is kind of cool. I'm going to hang on to this.
Yeah, I keep them all because I read all the lore on all of them, and if I ever want to go back and read it, I'm not going to sell it.
The game does have a fair amount of bugs, mostly when it comes to fighting bosses, and I've discovered that you can use some of these to your advantage.
I have never found any bugs.
Really?
Yep. The only thing is like the frame rate stuff is the only like quote bug, but that's more just performance, so not really bugs.
Boss will run into a room and not come in all the way and just run into the wall. All right, well, you're gonna die the easy way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just I haven't run into that, or maybe the Series X version just doesn't have the same bugs, so I wouldn't have seen the same thing you did. Who knows?
I still have a really good time. I like it. I know it's going to get hard. I'm a lot further than you are. I'm through the capital and already landed the giant.
Yeah, I've been to many places. Yeah. I even got. I keep going back to the stupid volcano. I'm trying to get to the volcano manor so I can get that map thing because I've been all around it. I've been kidnapped and put under it. I just need to keep going back to find the way to get up to where I can find the stupid map piece so I can have it not be brown. I have so many of just like, fast travel points and things I've found over there. I just don't have the actual map, and I want the map.
Cool.
I think next time I go there, I'll probably be okay. I had like last time I went, I still wasn't quite leveled enough for that area.
Yeah,
so
when I first
went okay, I'll go back over here and come back later.
When I first went to the area before the capital, I wasn't. I ran up there to get something that you can put in the flask that lets you, so you don't lose as many runes, die. There's like a short, and I was like, my buddy's like, you got to get this. Here it is. Go. You can do it at level 40. I died like, I spent all my runes because I'm smart, but the plateau was brutal. I was like, holy cow, must get this.
Oh, like the flask of wondrous physic, where you get all the different things that you can mix in it. Have you gotten the one that makes you explode?
I have not. But
I want to know. I'm not going to look it up, but I want to know if there's a useful version for that. Because if you use that in your mix and then you drink it, it like goes for a bit, and then you literally explode and die.
You did that in Revenge of Shinobi. that was one of the ninja magics in Revenge of Shinobi. It's like, what is this magic that I got and you just take the sword and you stab yourself with it and it explodes and you explode. Now, if you have more lives, you come back to life. If you don't, the game is over. And I remember the first time as a kid when we got that, I had one life left, stuck myself in it. I was like, oh, I'll blow the boss up with this and I'll just come right back. No, I was died. It was game over. I was out of continues. I had to start over again. It's like,
yeah, that's not how this game works. So you just be dead. So I don't know if maybe you can just like max your health stat out enough that you wouldn't die from it, but I don't know. I haven't messed with it. I just remember trying it because I'm like, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And then I exploded.
This is gonna be fun.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fine. It's all fine. It's no big deal.
Fine, it's all good.
So yeah, I've got my map full of all sorts of like, okay, I've been to this dungeon, here I've gone to this dungeon, but I haven't beat the boss yet, and like, oh, here's a strong like enemy, here's a dragon that I didn't want to fight the other day, so I'll go back and fight it later. It's just all marked down, and then I go back and check things off of my list, and then do I feel like going into the main area yet? Nah, let's ride over here.
Hey, that's the beauty about that game. You know, with it that way, you can do
This
whatever you
game-
want.
Yeah, like this year is going to be stacked with games, but Elden Ring is going to be game of the year unless something else just absolutely
Yeah.
grabs me, because this game, I'm just loving it so much.
Well, cool. Eric, I know you
Yeah.
talked a lot about Elden Ring, but I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I know.
Go right in
like I
this.
said, I'm having a good time, having a good co-op with buddies and stuff. I'm still like learning how to play. I know, like I'm sure Nathaniel's able to handle a lot more of like the boss fights. For me, I'm always like, I'm just gonna get in there and smash them, and I'm like, it doesn't always work.
Yeah, you can't
Actually, it
do
does
that.
work sometimes.
Yeah, depending on boss, but
On the boss.
Yeah,
'Cause
there's
there's-
a boss I'm stuck at that can't melee, and it's blasting me from a distance away. So I'm gonna have to get my buddy to help.
Ooh, I think I might know which one you're talking about.
But it has been fun where, my buddies are range based and they were getting crushed by a couple dual bosses. Summoned me in, easy. I just got in and took them down.
A couple of like the assassin type little mini bosses that you can find that are just like super fast and flipping around, and you're fighting them in a tiny room. It's like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep track of. Sit still so I can hit you.
There's one that's like a shade where it's not doesn't have very much health, but it will either like trap you, summon up a bunch of skeletons, and teleports all over the room. And so like my buddy is like trying to hit it with his arrows, and he's missing, and I just sneak up to him. That's it. There we go. It's dead.
See, that's the advantage of having a big sword, because some of the bosses like that, or mini bosses like that, you can stun them so they don't like get away from you.
It will like knock them back and then like interrupt their attack, and then you just get in.
well,
All right, so lots about Elden, but let's cover the other things I played quickly. I played a little bit of Dying Light last week. My buddy and I are trying to schedule some time to co-op that. I think I'm like 60% of the story. Let's see. They still haven't patched it and fixed it and given me my weapon that was promised for following the one storyline. Where is my semi-automatic crossbow?
see, I know they did a big update patch for Xbox, but I didn't hear if they had for PlayStation yet. So.
Yeah, they have, but I'm like, and their tech support was funny. They're like, yeah, we'll look into this.
Yeah, we'll look into it at some point.
Except for the
I took my Switch with me and a couple of my games last week. Saw my niece and nephew. They played Kirby Star Allies for the first time. And they want that game. They love like the co-op platforming.
Yeah.
One of them's Meta Knight, the other one's Kirby, and then they're fighting over who gets Kirby. And I'm just like, you can't all be Kirby.
Why not?
Only one. The other ones have to settle for the other people. But they seem to like it, and it's easy to play. I also tried Samurai Warriors. I have never played a Dynasty Warriors, so that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
It is okay on the Switch. I would say if you get it on another system, play it there.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't-
noticed
Yeah.
that the
Well, it
frame
depends
rate-
because they're hit or miss. Like a lot of them are all over the place. Like
Oh,
some,
it's a fun game, but I noticed the frame rate was dipping pretty hard.
Yeah.
But you ride it on Battlefield and you get to slash as many enemies as possible, use magic. It's pretty fun.
it's great stress relief.
Yeah, my nephew was really enjoying it. He's like, "Oh, we gotta go over here, get the boss." I'm like, "All right, do your thing. I'll just come along." But, I don't think I'd get it for myself. I also tried Nickelodeon All Star Brawl too. My nephew has it, and you want to play that.
Yeah.
That is interesting. If you like Smash, it's pretty much Smash clone. The characters are a little more floaty when it comes to jumping, and they kind of hang in the air a little bit more. But there's some good characters in that game. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I was able to pick it up. He had played a lot of it, and I had never played it. And what you think happened is he would beat me.
Yeah.
Nah. I picked a couple characters I knew that were decent, and I was able to hold my own. So, actually, I would be interested to try the online play with that. See how I hear the netcode is really good, like for online matchmaking stuff. It's there's no lag or anything.
Surprise for
it
a
is
game
surprising. Yeah.
that has great netcode.
Yeah, but it's you don't have that many characters either. That's the kind of and there's a couple of obscure like Nickelodeon characters where I'm like, all right, I have no idea. But yeah, that's it. Haven't been playing too much, just dabbling in some stuff, trying to play lots of Elden Ring, but trying to break it up a little.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. Just a couple of news stories, some rumors and things that kind of broke this week. There was Bloomberg has said that Sony will reveal their Game Pass competitor this week, their Project Spartacus, as soon as next week or this week. Which Bloomberg, believe it or not, they're actually usually pretty right on these things. I don't know who their leaker is. It's in around.
Oh, it's Jason Schreier.
Well, I was gonna
so
say,
like
he
he
works
used to
there
be,
now.
yeah, he used to be like Kotaku or wherever before, but
Yeah.
now he's been for Bloomberg for the past couple 2-3 years. I forget how long. So like he's got so many sources at this point. I'm sure that it's just he can phone up as many people as he needs to confirm stuff.
Yeah, there's a leaked, take it with a grain of salt, thing going around Reddit, with all the different tiers. Like there's going to be a plus tier, a silver, a gold, and then the platinum. And like the platinum's like $60 every 3 months, and you get your
No,
But I know
no,
It's
just
so
don't have
confusing,
tiers.
like,
Yeah, just
Yeah,
get
don't-
one.
Keep
like
it simple.
Game Pass, just
Yeah,
one.
they're not. This is Sony. They're not going to. They're going to have tiers.
Sony,
like
you already have it tiered by having PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus and all this other stuff. If you're gonna do a Game Pass competitor, make it a Game Pass competitor and simple.
Yeah,
Like
if-
don't make it complicated.
If they're going to make it a Game Pass competitor, put your games on it day one. But they're not going to. They're just not
No,
going
they're
to. It's everybody's got their hopes up. It's literally just going to be PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now together with maybe, my problem is with PlayStation Now, I have no problem subbing to PlayStation Now. Their game selection is usually pretty good. My issue is they never have PlayStation 5 games on there. They have PlayStation 4 games. And and that's fine. I'm fine with PlayStation 4 games, but like even if you download the PlayStation 4 version on the PlayStation 5, you don't get the PlayStation 5 version. You get the PlayStation 4 version. That's just silly to me. If you're going to have brand new day one games on there, they did one day one game. It was was it Samurai Warrior 3 or Shadow Warrior 3? Shadow Warrior 3, I think it was.
Shadow Warrior 3, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And, I was like, oh, that would be really cool. There's no PlayStation 5 version of it. So it's like, oh, okay, I could see that. But I don't know. If you're not going to offer PlayStation 5 versions of games on PlayStation Now, what are you even doing at this point? You're a year and a half into the new system.
Right?
Now. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And then I read another rumor today that the PlayStation 5 Pro version will come out in 2023, next year. Like, why? Why would that even happen at this point? You can't make enough PlayStation 5s to meet demand because of chip shortages. Why are you going to go
Well, there's
ahead
not even like games or software to take advantage of a pro version anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing's taking advantage of the PlayStation 5 or the Series X now. Why in the world would you go ahead and bring out another version of the system when people can't get the system that they have now? No, don't do that. I understand why they did a PlayStation 4 Pro in that generation. That generation was getting long in the tooth. There was a big gap between this and that. Okay, I get that. 4K, sure. But
yeah, but it hasn't even been that long since the PlayStation 5 came out till now. So, or even next year, it still wouldn't be as long as that. So it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So,
I mean, it could just be some dumb rumor someone
made
up,
it could
but
be,
you never know.
but and that's just it. You never know. I mean, it could happen, but and it may not be anything. So hopefully, hopefully this week, I'm not saying I hope it launches. I just hope they have an announcement. But this grain of salt rumor stuff, if that's the real prices of it and for what you get, holy fright, it's a joke. I mean, it's an absolute joke. I don't know if anybody watched Phil Spencer and what's her name? Is it Sarah
Bond?
Sarah Bond, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Bonds from their GDC video that they played at GDC. It was very interesting. There was a lot of game developer stuff about tools that they're given for cloud and indie games and stuff like that. But there was some news that came out with it about Game Pass with the type of numbers they were getting. Day one launches get 3.5 times the lift from players from large publishers, 15 times that from indies, which I could believe that. You could see the way Tunic was. A lot of people knew of Tunic and knew about it, but when it came out on Game Pass, suddenly everybody was playing it. It was like, why not? It's there, try it out. Subscribers spend 50% more. I can attest to that. I've bought more games, and I've bought more games digitally since being on Game Pass that I have any other time. Indies see triple digit revenue growth, which is insane. That's crazy. And subscribers play 40% more games after joining Game Pass. Yeah, I could believe that too, because
I mean, like, if you just had your Xbox and then you suddenly have all these games, of course you're going to be playing more games after you join, because you'll have them there.
But
suddenly you have access to a bunch of games, and what do you do? Just let them sit there? Come on.
Yeah.
Go play.
And people kill me, but it's like you look at these numbers and you look at things that Microsoft comes out with about how much growth you get, how much money is made and stuff like that, and people still can't wrap their head around that Game Pass actually still makes publishers money. They think it doesn't make publishers money, and it does. I mean, and they talked about that in that interview. Phil Spencer was talking about there were some indie games that never would see the light of day that they went to and said, hey, we will give you X amount of money to finish this game if you let us put it on Game Pass for X amount of days or weeks or months or years or however, and we don't care what other platforms you put it on. We just want it on Game Pass day one, and we'll give you money to finish it. And they did it. I mean, it's story after story after story after story of that. I mean, and same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. You look at that game came out. A lot of people liked it. It kind of fizzled out after a month, and then it came out on Game Pass. And what's everybody been talking about when it came out on Game Pass? They've been talking about Guardians of the Galaxy again. Here, 6 months after the game came out, or however.
It gives it a second chance,
Yeah. So but I'm one of those weird Xbox people that actually pay for Game Pass and buy games. What? I've seen people post, well, dude, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you're just too poor or broke to buy games, so that's why you're a Game Pass subscriber.
So if you're someone who's too poor to buy games, but you can afford Game Pass, then that's like the best thing you should be doing, because you get a lot of games to play. It's not a bad thing.
If you're working a deal to get Game Pass cheap, month to month, might as well take that too. Just more games.
I guess I'm one of those cheap weird guys that's paid up for 5 years on Game Pass. So whatever. I ain't got no money. But I don't know. I'm paid up for a year of PlayStation Plus at this point, unless Sony really brings out something with their version that woos me. I don't see me picking it up. And the one thing that's going to have to woo me is you're going to have some good first party games that I don't already own, or they're going to have to come out that day.
It's pricing big.
Yeah, and pricing is going to be the big thing too, because I'm not that interested in getting demos. I'm just not, and that's one of the rumored tiers is the high end tier. You're going to get game demos early. It's like, PlayStation.
Who cares? It's a game demo.
Yeah, PlayStation used to send me game demos in the mail on a disc for free, and I didn't even ask for them. They just show up back in the day on the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. It's like, and now I don't know. It's PlayStation now. I've used it when it first came out, and that was at this point 6 years ago or something, like 6, 7, 8. No, it's probably longer than that, 10 years ago, and it was fine. But there's nothing on there compelling enough for me to keep a subscription to pay for it. Plus, it was mostly streaming stuff. If I want to play PlayStation 3 games, I have to stream them, and I don't want to stream them. Of course, now it's using Azure, so, they're using the same thing xCloud uses. So, hey, maybe it's a little better now. I don't know.
Is it just PlayStation 4 games you can download from there, at least currently?
Just PlayStation 4 games.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, if you're not, my thing is you're going to have a huge back catalog and they do. Sony has a huge back catalog of all kinds of stuff they could put on there. But if I'm going to have to stream it all instead of actually being able to download it and play it natively on the PlayStation 5, it's kind of like...
Not a lot of people get enjoyment from that. That's the thing, is because, especially with like an inconsistency of like God knows how many types of bandwidth from any part of the country, and then all these different types of service providers. Like, it is going to be different for everybody. There's going to be no such thing as a consistent experience, and you're going to see a lot of mixed reception.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about it is like, have you ever played PlayStation Now games on your PlayStation 4? Did you ever play PlayStation 3 games that way on your PlayStation?
Not on the PS4, but however, the first time I did try PS Now was before it even came out. There was a beta on PS3, and they only had 10 games available. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And I tried that, and it was fine, but I mean, the tech I don't think was sophisticated enough at the time to really handle that. Even though I was playing some super basic stuff like Peggle,
They were right, yeah.
But still, I mean, you still need some sort of reactionary skill to Peggle with, how crazy some of the levels get, knocking that little ball around. So
the way it worked on PlayStation 4, with the PlayStation 3 stuff streaming on PlayStation Now, it was actually like you were logging into a PlayStation 3 system. It had the menu system, everything come up like you were on a PlayStation 3. So you had saves, you had everything like that, like you're connecting wirelessly to your PlayStation 3 to stream these things. Yeah. And it's like, no, why does it have to be that way? Why can't it just but it's because it couldn't natively run a PlayStation 3 game on the PlayStation 4. As much as the PlayStation 3 was a great system, the way that they had that thing set up was just ridiculous. Yeah, it was just ridiculous for backwards compatibility. They'll never be able to natively play those games, I don't think, on a PlayStation
Everything
system.
was way too proprietary for their own good, and it was like they ended up just shooting themselves in the foot because of it. Because there was a lot of games that just ended up not just like, even for when that was the time when those were the new generation consoles, there were a lot of games that, despite technically being a pretty powerful system, you got a lot of games that were definitely... They were the worst versions of a lot of third-party games, was PS3 versions of games, because of how they had to do everything.
I can't remember if it was Elder Scrolls or if it was one of the Fallout games, but there was a bug in that game that every time you saved the game save got larger and larger.
That sounds familiar.
And larger.
All of them.
Yeah.
Every Bethesda Studios game like that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it would be like, you would save it on PlayStation 3 and it would be like 100 gigs. It would start taking up like tons of the...
That's a little bit too much for a game save.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was like, I can't remember what one that was, but it was like, why am I running out of space on my PlayStation 3? That's weird. Oh, it's because for some strange reason my Fallout 4 or Fallout 3 save is like 500 gigs. What's up with that? It's like... But yeah, we'll see. That's like I say, I want to see what they have to offer, but I know we're not getting like Game Pass. It's just not going to get like.
Also like PS Plus hasn't had anything that I really care to redeem that much for the past however long anyway. So unless they're gonna up all of that for this new thing, then it's not going to be that enticing.
And I just redeem them and go on. I don't even, if it's something that's...
I always forget about it. I'm like, oh wait, what is it? Oh, nope, never mind. I don't even bother. It's like, if it's not something I'm ever going to play, I'm not going to redeem it.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Just add it to my account and go on. I don't think about it. Maybe someday down the road I might, but it's...
Like, if it's something I might someday play, sure, I'll redeem it. But if it's just something that's just like some random, like, bass fishing game or something I know I will never ever want to play, I'm not going to redeem it.
Yeah. If it's Sega Bass Fishing, then yeah, I'll play that because Sega Bass Fishing was awesome.
I won't. That's not for me. So like, if it's a not for me game, or I will never ever get to that game, or even sometimes I have that on other platforms.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Because then it'll just muddy up my library with a bunch of crap that I don't care about.
Well, at least now they let you filter that crap. That's the thing. I can filter all those out. They didn't used to do that on the PS4, but on the PS5, at least I can filter that crap out now. But I don't know. It's weird. We'll see. But I guarantee. Yep. I guarantee probably. Oh, I won't guarantee it, but I'll say probably all it's going to be is it's going to merge PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, and all they're going to do is brag about how many subscribers they have now because they've merged those two things together. And look, it's our Game Pass competitor, and we have 60 million people. You have 50 million people. That's twice as many as Xbox. It's like, well, yeah, because you just merged two things together. It's still PlayStation Plus. It's not Game Pass.
Well, then Xbox will just be like, well, here, we'll add our gold people who are still just on gold, and there's how many subscribers we have. So it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, and
you can always spin numbers, man.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and you can always be one of those fanboys that I'll never do this, and then when Sony does it, it's like, oh wait, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's the greatest thing ever. They invented this wheel. It's like, oh, it's just some things I hear people say, and I just go, what? It's like, it makes me laugh. So, all right. Well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, is anything else that missed or anything like that? It's not been a huge news day or news couple weeks, even though we were gone for technically 3 weeks because I had to work last weekend. But hopefully that will never happen again, because this is the first time in a very long time that I have worked on a Saturday, and I did not like it. No, sir, not one bit. I mean, it's been years. It's like I was driving home going, this is like 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years since I've worked on a Saturday. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. It was like, because now I have to do everything on Sunday and then turn around and go back to work on Monday. That's bullcrap. But the nice thing, I say the nice thing, the thing is when you have a big thing of gout, you don't go back to work the next week. You sit on the chair and prop your foot up and go, oh, my foot hurts.
Make sure you ice it.
No, you don't ice. You don't ice gout. That makes it worse.
That always works for me.
I was talking to the doctor, and I said, I'm going to ice it. He said, no. Said, do not ice gout. Said that actually makes the uric acid crystallized to the joint more. You don't want to put ice on it. Said it,
elevate it.
Yeah, it says just elevate it and let it be. So it's been lots of water. It's been elevated, and I haven't had a Mountain Dew in a week, and I'm kind of jonesing for some Mountain Dew. It's like,
did he say what causes it for you? I could tell you what causes it for me.
What I'm going to say. Red meat and beer causes it for you.
That'll do.
Actually, it's not red meat because I don't eat that much red meat.
Oh, okay.
Alcohol in general.
Yeah, alcohol. No, with me, it's usually red meat or it's peanuts. It's usually something nutty like peanut butter.
Really? Peanut butter?
Yeah, peanut butter candy, peanuts. Sometimes it's like what's processed meat, like lunch meat and hot dogs and
like lunch meat, that processed stuff. You eat a lot of seafood.
Yeah, see, and I don't eat a lot of seafood. It's if I eat.
Do you like liver?
No.
Kidneys? That causes it. Shellfish, yeah.
Yeah, see, no, I don't eat any of that stuff, but I do like the occasional hot dog. I do like bologna occasionally. I like to go to Jimmy John's in the evening and eat, dinner, but that's cold cuts. And I eat burgers way too much. I eat ground beef way too much. 1 week I'll eat Taco Bell, and then I'll have a hamburger at Red Robin the next night, and then we'll go it's like, and if I don't drink enough water, it doesn't wash that stuff out. And I mean, that's the trick. And it just happened to be I didn't drink enough water that week, and my body just went, you know what? you've ate out every day for the past 3.5 months. We're shutting this party down. And I went, okay. I mean, I showed up to work on Monday morning. It started Friday night on the way home, and I went, man, my foot really is hurting. I know it's going to be bad. And Saturday morning I got up, and it was a little swollen, put my shoe on, went to work, which that was the biggest mistake. Came home and then woke up Sunday morning, and my foot was so swelled that even if the sheet on the bed touched it, it hurt.
Your big toe.
In my big toe, yeah. But my whole foot swelled. It swelled so much that Tuesday morning the doctor took a x-ray because he didn't believe I had gout. He thought I broke my foot. And I went, no, I know I didn't break my foot. And sure enough, it was just swollen so much. I pulled into the parking lot up Monday in Pennsylvania, and I had sandals on, and my boss was laughing at me. He's like, are you going to put... I said, yeah, I'm going to put my shoes on, but look how much my foot is swollen. And you could see the lump in my sock. I literally almost took the strings out of my shoe and jammed my shoe on, and I figured they heard me yell probably a mile away because it hurt so bad. I couldn't tie my shoe. That's how swollen my shoe was.
I've been there. I know how painful.
Yeah, I mean, it is painful.
My buddy drinks a lot more than I do. Gets it. He eats a lot of steak. He gets it in his ankle. This has now become the Gout podcast. Gets it in his ankle.
Oh my gosh!
The three most common places are the foot, knee, and hands. If I'm not mistaken. So.
Well, what makes up the stuff that makes up my gout is also the same thing that gave me kidney stones. So I would rather get the gout than I would the kidney stones.
Any absolutely.
I mean, much as I hate to put up with the gout, I hate to put up with kidney stones. But yeah, I'll take gout over any day. So now it's like, oh, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat that. I want to buy me 12 liters of water to take with me. So I make sure I drink 2 liters of water a day to make sure I'm flushing everything. It's ridiculous. But yeah, this is the worst flare-up I've ever had. And this is really the first flare-up I've had in like 4 years. Like 3 or 4 years. So, I mean,
okay. Now we can talk about this offline because I got another question, but we'll talk offline.
Okay, all right. Now, so we'll end the Dr. Oz part of the episode.
Hey, I have the growth on my face.
That's called your face.
How do I take care of it?
All right, guys. Well, like I say, we should be back maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know what 2 weeks. Yeah, that's still not Easter. I keep Easter seems so late this year for some reason. I keep thinking that it's like next week, and it's really not. It's like, and then the next week I'm like, oh, Easter's next week. Everybody's gonna be here. Oh no, they're not. It's not that week. Oh, it's that. No, it's not. So eventually it'll be Easter, and I'll be surprised. But we should be back in 2 weeks. If you want to come hang out with us live, just follow us on Twitter. I'll tweet out about an hour or two before we go live to let everybody know. If not, and you just get it on the podcatcher, you'll get it the next day after we post it. So. Hooray. But our Twitter is @GL_podcast. I forgot to say that. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out and listening to us, and we will catch you all next time.
See you later. Bye-bye.